Today we're going to talk about Charlie Jones and Coraline exploring her new house. Welcome back to Scenic Saturdays here on the Fangirl, where today we are talking about what I'm roughly estimating to be Scene 5 of Coraline. I am your hostess, McGann, and you are watching the Fangirl, where I really hope that you will like, subscribe, share, comment, engage in any of those free ways that help boost me in the algorithm. And if you're feeling extra generous, please consider becoming a channel member. Okay, analyzing Scene 5 of Coraline today, and for our purposes, that's going to go from Coraline walking into her dad's study up until Coraline finds the tiny door in the wall. Okay, let's jump in. We meet Charlie working in his new office with unpacked boxes piled up everywhere and Charlie at his computer looking exhausted. He's literally typing an introduction to the dirty world of composting, and again, kudos to the creative team who put actual relevant text on the screen and not just filler nonsense. Coraline was made way before the days where people were pausing and looking at these sorts of things. So it's just a very impressive detail that you can stop and read the whole computer screen. And Coraline is trying to get her dad's attention, and it takes her several tries to get a response out of her father. And when Coraline asks for the gardening tools, clearly trying to get a different answer from dad than she got from mom, Charlie does not fall into the trap of playing a fool. He asks Coraline what the boss said, referring to his wife, and Coraline mimics Mel yelling at her to not even think about it, Coraline Jones. And Coraline's tone is very exaggerated because it is way harsher than anything Mel actually said. So we're seeing that the reality that Coraline gets is different than the fantasy that she spins inside of her head. So when Charlie tells Coraline that she doesn't need the gardening tools if Mel already said no, Coraline groans and sighs and starts squeaking the door just to be a nuisance to her dad. Much like the Jones adults, Coraline isn't a particularly good person here either. She knows she is being a pest, and she's doing it on purpose because she's upset to not get her way and to not get as much attention as she wants. And let's be clear, Charlie is equally as dismissive and annoyed as Mel, but where Mel gave Coraline a physical work assignment of going and cleaning her room, Charlie tells Coraline that, hey, the house is 150 years old. Here's a notepad. Go explore inside and count the interesting things inside the house. He's trying to divert Coraline in the same kind of way that you would distract a 5-year-old with busy work so that they feel important. But Coraline takes the bait this time. She's not happy about it, and she tosses her raincoat on the floor as kind of this form of protest. But then she goes about the house counting. She finds the carpet runner is messed up, that there are 12 leaky windows, which no, there's not. There are 7 big windows with multiple smaller windows inside of each one, and then a stack of windows on top of that. At a minimum, her count should be 14, and several of the windows on the top row are broken. So what is up with this rental property that those weren't fixed before someone moved in? This house isn't abandoned. The Jones family didn't just buy it as a fixer-upper. Someone is charging them money to live here. They have an obligation to make it suitable. Then we see Coraline hanging off a bedroom door, which looks like her parents' room. And we get to see a picture of the Jones family in Michigan, where Coraline looks a little bit younger and a lot a bit happier. And I believe that that's the fountain that we see in the Detroit Zoo snow globe later too. But Coraline has brown hair in that photo, which has always made me think that taking Coraline to get her hair dyed blue was this special, kind of fun Coraline chosen activity that the family did just to help her feel better about moving to Oregon. There's also a box in the back for Mel's neck brace, which seems extra extra weird. In the United States, things like neck braces are commonly given out by hospitals at a huge markup price. For example, a $1 ACE wrap would cost $100 if handed to you in an emergency room. But if you have something serious, the hospital tends to give you the device already opened and you leave the hospital using it. It's yours from then on. They don't give you the original box or order the item for you. They show you how to use it in your hospital bed. You know, the hospital doesn't go, hey, you have a problem with your neck. Here, go order this brace and we're going to hope for the best. That's a liability problem. So does this box mean that Mel's neck brace is some kind of con and she ordered one online for herself? Anyways, Coraline moves on into her parents' private bathroom. She smashes silverfish with her bare hands, gross, and there are 20 of them on screen, but Coraline writes down 12 bugs. I am starting to wonder if Coraline is educationally challenged in some way. The girl cannot do basic counting, and that's like a skill set of a 3-year-old. And I love when Coraline tries to wash her hands in the bathtub, but the pull tab for the shower is stuck up, and this horrible brown water hits her in the head. Water in stop motion is so difficult, so this is beautifully done. But again, I'm wondering why these pipes are so rusted out that the water and shower are in this condition. You don't let people move in like this. And just because no children have been allowed to stay in the Pink Palace, that doesn't mean that that unit has been empty this entire time, so what the heck? Whatever. Coraline hops down the stairs and jumps on the carpet runner bump, finally getting it to smooth out, and the vibrations from that jump make the water heater closet door open, which is the first time we're really being shown that this place is full of secret nooks and crannies. And that water heater is also long overdue to be replaced. Is Mrs. Lovat seriously charging people money to live here? Then Coraline hits an old push-button switch when she leaves the closet and whoopsie-doo, it turns off the power to the other rooms, proving that the Pink Palace existed before electricity was common. So they made ridiculous master switches like this one. And hitting that button makes Charlie lose his work, which, judging by the giant old box he's using, it does not have an autosave feature. And really, we only see a black screen with green text, which makes this seem like some kind of DOS computer from the 80s. And we know that this is a contemporary piece for 2009 because we see a cell phone later. But is this dude actually a professional writer? Because he's either extremely eccentric or he's really poor and trying to con his way into a writing job, and he's trying to fake it until he makes it using some old PC he found at Goodwill. There's nothing I can see in Charlie's behaviors or possessions that tells me he uses a computer regularly for anything. But Charlie yells in anguish because he's definitely not an experienced writer. An experienced writer would have saved that document non-stop if they didn't have autosave. You only lose something once before you learn that as a writer, trust me. And when Charlie yells, Coraline looks genuinely afraid, and she realizes that a sign fell down above the light switch that said, "Don't push." And for as bratty as Coraline seems in this scene, this was an honest mistake that was not her fault. I really feel bad for her here. Then Coraline wanders into the living room, sets the doll on the table, and finds Mel's box of snow globes where, yes, the Detroit Zoo is right there with the same fountain we saw in the photograph earlier. Coraline sets out the snow globes on the mantle and looks at this weird image. I can't tell if it's a photograph or a painting, but it's a kid at the beach who spilled his ice cream all over himself and on the ground. Since it's already hung up, I imagine it had to have already been there. But who did it belong to? It clearly isn't someone that the Lovat family was related to because they're darker skinned people. And I'm not sure why a former tenant would leave something like this behind, or why it wouldn't have been thrown out during cleanup between tenants. And being that the image is hung already when nothing else is, and that Coraline lists it as a boring blue boy and not like Uncle Samuel eating ice cream as a child, it's definitely not the Jones painting either. So what is the background of this thing? Side detail though, while the wallpaper is very faded, you can see little glimpses of images including the beetle figure. Then Coraline goes back for the doll and realizes it's gone. At this point in the movie, the mice haven't been released from the other world yet. So is this our evidence that the doll can and does move on its own? I think that this could be our one point where we could say, yes, that doll had to have moved on its own here. Well, that is unless we want to get into the mice that Bobinski currently has in the attic, but we don't know anything about them or if they're even real at this point. So tentatively, unless somebody can give me a better answer in the comments, I think the doll is moving on its own, because when the camera angle changes, we get another one of those uncomfortable voyeurism looks, where it seems like Coraline is being watched from behind something, just like that shot from the bush and the garden. Except this time, when the camera angle changes, it is clearly the doll that's been watching her. Or I guess to put a finer point on it, it's the Beldam watching Coraline through the button eyes. So has every one of these creepy angles been the doll the whole time, and that's why it's so dirty looking now? It seems so. But then Coraline moves the stray box and realizes that the little door is there, and that's where we're calling it for today. I'd love to know what you guys think of this scene, and especially what you think about the doll and the type of landlord that Mrs. Lovat is. Leave me a comment. I might be overthinking it, but that's literally my job. And to any of my members here on YouTube, a huge bottom of my heart thank you for all of your help and support. If you would like to become a paid channel member, there is a link in the description below. Thanks again, guys. Love you. Well, family members, we're almost done, but I want to invite you to hang out with me in some other places. I'm on Twitter and Instagram as my own personal self, and I have a Facebook page too, but I mostly just post photos over there. And sometimes people say, "Hey McGann, I want to mail you something. How do I do that?" Easy. Just click the About tab on my channel page, and my most current P.O. Box info will be right there. I also run another channel, The Family. It's really a hodgepodge channel where we might post anything. Oh yeah, and I also sell shirts and stickers and stuff with the Family and the Fangirl logos. If that is your cup of tea, I have a link in every description of every video. Finally, if you want to help out the Fangirl channel and make sure I'm putting out video essays for years to come, the best way you can help is by subscribing and watching more of my videos, whether they're new, old, whatever. Maybe even share one or two on social media, help spread the word. People who watch to the end of videos like you helps to tell the site, hey, this is a good video, we should recommend it to other people. So if you made it this far, leave me a comment of something like, hey, I made it to the end. Love ya. See you next time, family members. Bye.